So yesterday I was watching a video on Bonpo's going up to Mustang to get those um, documents that they found in the cave in a previous video from like National Geographic and Nova. And so they were out there fixing the documents up and showed where they had, the illuminations had been cut out and sold on the market and stuff like that. And they were talking about the history of Bonn in the region and showed. But one of the things that I noticed was that the Bon priests are just so much more down to earth. And my guru studied. I think Shinto was his basis. Bon was his next step, and then he studied all of the different schools through Rime. And because he became very proficient, he became one of the people that was called upon dubiously as the only qualified person in various things, but nobody could really trust that he was truly a Buddhist. And so the differences between Bon and Buddhism, I mean, the Dharma is almost the same. It's just there are some practical differences, and there are some historical differences in that Bon was persecuted, and then Bon persecuted also Buddhism, but originally, as the Kingdom of Tibet developed, they didn't care. They thought it was just another thing that they overlapped on. The Zhejiang was a nation, but it was a nation like a nomadic American Indian nation. They had a huge range, they had a lot of influence, and when King Trisung Detsen decided that they had too much influence, he wanted to take that influence for himself and killed basically a Kagan Khan. And when that happened, he thought that he would get the influence, but what happened actually was that everybody just was like, I guess we don't do this anymore. They didn't realize that Buddhism would exclude their blondes, their redheads, the blue eyes, the gray eyes, and tell them that their unusual people had bad karma. They didn't realize that the women would converge with Buddhism by infanticide, which we don't practice. So that led to differences, and that led to the problems. The main theme is hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of the Buddhists, in the conflict. And then people trying to win people over, get people to feel their feels so that they don't do the things. It's Bon doesn't use animal bones or even human bones or anything like that. I mean, the drums are regular drums and things like that, but Bon changed animal sacrifice to substitution sacrifice, the red torma. So, but it's powerful. I was reading the sutras of the Buddhas, and he said that if you wanted to have magical powers, you needed to focus on pratimoksha, which is the monastic discipline. And it's the same thing with Bon, that the magical powers arise from being a good, obedient person, and then you get amplified. They don't arise, there are recipes, but that's sorcery. What arises naturally is what happens. And So it's misunderstood, it's maligned, and people don't want to understand different things, basically because the more you understand, the more sympathy you have. And if you have sympathies, in a persecution situation, it can cause you problems.